Welcome to Running Down the Clock, where we break down all of this week's big news, events, and controversies from the National Football League. Over the next 45 minutes, we will give you basic fan perspective and opinion on the most important stories and moments happening now. So, let's start the clock.
Welcome, everyone, to Running Down the Clock. I'm your host, Poya, and I'm here as always with Tyler Walzak. Tyler, I think we could start ourselves off with the biggest news of last year. Tom Brady's retirement.
The biggest news of last year?
That was last year's big news. He
on
retired,
this day.
but then he unretired.
So the reason he unretired last year, well, obviously he wanted to play again, but somebody leaked his retirement, right? His speech or something like that?
I think that was like preview week 2 for us, that I had my tinfoil hat conspiracy theory of why he unretired out of spite to get back at the people who leaked his info.
Yeah. So this year he did it on Instagram or something, and it was a video of him saying he was retiring.
And he cut right to the chase.
Do you think he unretires?
Okay, so I got a new conspiracy theory now.
Of course you do, because all you do is come up with conspiracy theories because you work by yourself and you just think of these weird fucking things all the time.
No, I work with some crackpot guys, so they come up with these conspiracy theories and I feed off them.
Don't these crackpot guys listen to this podcast?
I tell them to, but I don't think they don't listen to me when I tell them what to do at work. Why are they going to listen to my podcast outside of that?
That's
when they're being paid to listen to me, they don't do it. Why would they
just put it on at work then?
So I think he was chasing Jordan, right? We mentioned this before. How many times did Jordan unretire? Michael Jordan.
Jordan unretired twice.
So he's got one more.
He's got one. He's got 2 more left because he's going to have to do it a second time.
Because he left to go play baseball.
No, I know Jordan was twice, but Brady has only retired 1 time. So he needs to do it 2 more times, right?
Sure.
To beat him. You don't want to just tie him. If you're going to do it, you're going to beat him.
Right. Oh, you're right. You're absolutely right. You're playing to win. You're not playing for ties. We're not playing for ties here.
Nobody plays for ties, especially those 2 guys.
No. So I think that's my crackpot theory.
Okay, so I like it. I'm not going to lie. I like it.
Of course you do. It's a great theory. But to be more realistic, I think he realized in the last game he no longer has what it takes inside. Like, he doesn't believe in himself anymore, and that's why he's retiring. I don't think that it's not that he can't play in the NFL. He can be a mediocre guy. I don't think he ever wanted to be a mediocre guy.
I think there's something to that. I think it's more along the lines of he doesn't believe he's at the elite level to put it on his shoulders in order to get the job done, because clearly in that last game, he could have taken over and he wasn't able to.
That whole season, he had a lot of chances to take over games. He did it a couple times, but statistically, he didn't have a bad season. But if you just watched it, they weren't great.
No, they weren't. How do you feel about him retiring?
It's kind of sad. It's not going to be the same without him.
I agree. And I've had people
pretty much most of my NFL, like when I've actually really paid attention. I watched some NFL in the 90s, but I didn't know what was going on. Not that I do now, but he's kind of been there as the staple guy. He won the Super Bowl first season, playing, right?
For sure. I've heard people say they're happy he's retiring because a lot of people don't like him, because a lot of people just don't like people that win all the time. And what comes with that is obviously you get a smugness around you that you become this character that always wins, and then people just start hating you because you're always winning. But you've said this a million times on this show. Why don't you want to watch greatness? Isn't it better to go through your life in 20 years and be like, I watched that guy and nobody else was like him. And we're able to watch Tom Brady create this legacy. It's sad to see him go because I feel like there's so much more left on the table that he could accomplish, even though he's accomplished everything. I think there's one more team that could give him one more shot. He was in the NFC Championship last year at this time. I think there's still enough ability in him. It's just, I don't know if the mental aspects I can't speak of, obviously.
No, I agree with you. I think he doesn't have the same faith in himself that he has always. He doesn't have that same confidence that I am that guy that can do it. And I think he doesn't want to be just a good quarterback. He wants to go out there and be the best quarterback. And if he's not out there being the best quarterback, that's not what he wants to be.
Yeah, I agree. And it's sad to see him go because I think there was probably 3 or 4 teams that would want him that are playoff teams that could go the way. And I think actually, just to segue this perfectly, the 49ers would be one of those teams. Even though they have 3 starting quarterbacks that you could argue for, Trey Lance, Jimmy G, and Purdy. Right now, they have no healthy quarterbacks. And they're going into an offseason. If anyone's listening to this that hasn't watched football, they got absolutely smoked on the weekend. Purdy got hurt in the first quarter, came back, said he couldn't throw a ball after backup Josh Johnson also got hurt. They were stuck with Christian McCaffrey trying to throw balls as the quarterback is in the emergency. Purdy comes in, tells the coach, I can't throw the ball, or the deep ball at least. So they're going into an offseason without knowing who their next year's starting quarterback is going to be, just like what happened last year when they couldn't get rid of Jimmy G. They thought Trey Lance was going to be the guy. Trey Lance gets hurt. They're happy that Jimmy G's there. And it's the same thing now. So they've said, the coaches and the GM came out today and said there is no situation where they see bringing Jimmy G back. So now it is Purdy and Trey Lance. Who is 1A? Who is 1B? And is this a good plan? Like, is this a solid plan? If you were a 49ers fan, would you be happy with this? If you were the coach of the 49ers, would you be happy with this? Because Brady was rumored to go to San Francisco, as well as Vegas and back to Tampa and all that stuff.
Yeah. So I think what happens with Brady, this is the offseason for Brady. He goes and knocks on Gisele's door and says, hey, can we make this all work? Is this going to fix? I think she says no. It blows up in his face and he says, you know what? Fuck you. And he calls the NFL. Second call after Gisele is the NFL. He's like, fuck this. I'm back. I'm fucking back. Let's do this.
So, so Brady and his marriage with Gisele and the NFL is the equivalent of the other girl. And so this is Brady's last chance to say, I'm done with her. I'm done with the side girl. It's all about you, babe. It's all about you. And then Gisele says, not a fucking chance. No way. And Brady comes back into training camp furious with a new team, looking for the next girl to hang on his shoulder.
The only problem with it all, and I know why Gisele would say no. Number one, because I'm sure she's like has other reasons of her own.
Yeah, she's the equivalent.
But
Gisele is the equivalent of Tom Brady in her field of like supermodel Gisele Bundchen, NFL player
from
Tom
my
Brady. There's no
limited
reason for her to
perspective,
have to crawl back. That's
my
crazy.
limited perspective on the outside, having nothing to do with this, not knowing anything about their personal lives. The only reason why it won't work is because he's just going to sign that $350 million 10-year broadcasting deal. And then he's just going to be back at talking football all the time and like traveling again to go on the games. Like, he's just going to do it. He's going to do it all over again, except from the sidelines from the broadcasting booth.
So I think the actual number is 375. He's been given a contract, $375 million in the broadcasting booth. He's made $350 million in his NFL career. I believe
thought
those
it
are the
was
numbers.
he was in the 333 range made, and it's the 350 for 10 years deal that's on the table.
Okay. But he's making more money.
He's going to make more in 10 years broadcasting than he did in his NFL career from career earnings, not sponsorships.
And that's based, he got $350 million from Fox or whoever to commentate games without one single game of experience doing it.
Yeah. Now, what was that crypto scam that he lost a bunch of money, and he's going to make that back, right? So this is just recuperating lost costs, right?
For sure. But why? I don't understand why networks are doing this for quarterbacks that are retiring.
He's the difference, right? He's a one of one.
But Michael Jordan would not be good commentating basketball games, I believe.
Wayne Gretzky was a terrible coach. Remember, he tried to coach. Yeah. But they couldn't say no to him because it's like, I was able to do this. He's telling his players, just do this and you'll win the game. I did it a million times. I did it every single game.
Especially when to score
Michael Jordan
behind the net.
Michael
And
Jordan hasn't shown that he's a great GM so far.
right.
You can't say no because he owns the team and he's also Michael Jordan.
So the other option, like not the option, but the other thing in Brady's favor is Tony Romo got 10 years,
Yeah.
almost like $200 million to do it. And like, I don't know, like, it's all over the place how people feel about Tony Romo right now, but he went from great to the point where people hated him because he was calling out the plays before they even happened. He knew what was going to be run before the play ever happened. And now he's not doing that. He's not preparing for games. He's not doing anything. And now people hate him because he just keeps going, oh, I don't know. What do you think, Jim? Well, that was a strange decision. Well, okay. Okay. Well, that was a pass to a player. Yeah. You got the ball 10 yards. You got to do that. Like he just doesn't say anything worth value anymore. But people love to hate him and in various, it doesn't matter if you're good or bad, people will love to hate you. That's the problem with the internet right now.
Yeah. So the Tom Brady situation broadcasting, I don't think he's going to be bad at it from a knowledge perspective. It's just how much of a on air character, on air personality is he going to be?
Yeah.
I don't know that much about him as a person. I think he's going to put some jokes in there. I think he's an intelligent enough guy and he's a personal enough guy that he knows what he's doing. He'll be fine at it. It's from a football knowledge standpoint. He's one of those guys. If he's going to do something, he's going to put his all into it. He's
Yeah.
not just going to half-ass it.
You have to think that they probably brought him into a booth somewhere with a simulated game and had him call, or like, but he does have experience talking into a microphone. He's got his own podcast. He also did the ESPN or the HBO documentary. I forget what it's called. But he also has that. So he has experience in front of a camera and talking into a microphone. So he's not, I don't know.
Yeah. It seems like every idiot's got their own podcast, though.
Well, every moron out there has a podcast. Yeah. How did you get back to Brady when we're talking about Jimmy G and the 49ers?
Yeah, because I just wanted to drop my little Giselle thing in there. Jimmy G, like they always said he's gone. I think he was going to be, I thought he was going to be gone before just because, he wanted out before, even though the team's doing better now. I think they're going to go with the young guys. That was always their plan. They went with Trey Lance, and that's like the management doesn't like to admit that they really blew it, that they fucked up.
Yeah.
Getting a guy, trading picks for Trey Lance. So they're going to see him through. And again, he could be good. We haven't actually seen him play ever. We played one game.
Trey Lance played
one NFL
game.
game.
Well, he played some preseason games. I think he played a couple games the year before that.
Preseason, we don't count that.
Coming in, but yeah, you're right. Like we have no idea what this kid is about.
Yeah. So I think Brock Purdy's out 6. He's probably going to miss a couple weeks into the
6. No, he should be back in time for training camp.
Okay.
He's going to miss 6 months starting now.
6 months. So he's good. He's going to be the starter. I don't see why you wouldn't use Brock Purdy as your starter. He never let you down. He got injured and even still came back into the game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just handoffs, but that shows heart for a kid.
I agree. I think he comes back as your starting quarterback, unless there's something in training camp where Trey Lance is miles better than.
Yeah. And there's also going to be a third guy. There's always a third
always guy. A third guy.
Yeah. So we don't know who that is. That was Brock Purdy.
Yeah. Brock Purdy was the third guy.
I mean, he didn't lose any games in which he wasn't injured.
No, he's undefeated without injury.
Yeah. And that was a heartbreaking game for 49ers.
Was the last one?
Yeah. I'm not saying that they were going to win, but once they lost their quarterbacks, they had no chance. It was over.
Oh, once they lost their quarterback, it was done.
They couldn't compete.
George Kittle said it best. He's like, "You think am I angry that I had to play an NFC Championship game without a quarterback?" Yes, I am. And he's not wrong. Like that, we didn't actually get to see what would have happened in an even game, head-to-head health. And I get that health is not the part of the NFL is trying to be healthy and trying to stay healthy, but it does suck that game had to happen that way. And it was a pretty boring game the entire time.
It still goes back to what I said last week. We haven't seen the Eagles tested in a game that matters. And that's just like last week was supposed to be the test, and then they lose their quarterback so early that we haven't had to see the Eagles play their best yet. Like, I'm still curious. This is going to be the game against the Chiefs. for
The
this
game is the
season.
Super Bowl. It's fucking ridiculous that you're saying that. And you're not the only one saying it. A lot of people are saying that. But they're in the Super Bowl. And now everyone's saying, oh, they haven't been tested. They haven't been tested. They're in the Super Bowl. You don't
But
just get there without being tested.
no, so I think maybe misunderstood. I'm not saying that they've been playing poorly and they've gotten lucky to get there. I'm saying we haven't seen them play their best this season. Like they haven't actually had to go all out, play their hearts out in the game yet. Their best is still on the shelf that they haven't had to pull that out yet.
Yeah.
Like they've
Yeah.
had a great season. Things have kind of lined up in their favor a little bit with the injuries and stuff, but that's not their fault. There's nothing you can do about that. You
Nothing
play
you
your
can do
game.
about
But I mean, I still think their
it.
best is yet to come. We haven't seen it.
And everybody gets 2 weeks to get healthy. And so the other game, which I don't even know if we need to talk about the game or if we just are going to talk about
We're going to talk
this
for
simple
45 minutes.
question. Is the NFL rigged?
It's 100%. I'm convinced after that there is a favorable outcome, which they are definitely pushing. And I get the refs make mistakes. It seems too coincidentally inconsistent the calls that are being made. Like
They
what the
gave them a free third down in the
the way that was
6 minutes left in the fourth
presented to
quarter.
everybody was outrageous.
Yeah, I
Why
can't.
wouldn't they blow the whistle? Why would they just let it go on and then afterwards, like, well, that one didn't count.
I know
That was a dead play. That was a dead play.
it. I've tried to defend this in a lot of conversations over the last 20 years that like, why would it be rigged? That's dumb. Like, it makes no sense to have them rig it. And then as you get older, you figure out that money runs everything. And it's tough to not defend. It's tough to defend that at this point because what I saw in that game was referees trying to have one side favored to win, or at least have the NFL choose which side they wanted to win. And clearly it was the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, don't get me wrong, that last call about the hit out of bounds on Mahomes, dead accurate. That is a penalty every single time. But there's 20 penalties before that that went against Kansas City, or sorry, against Cincinnati, where you're thinking the NFL wants Kansas City to win this game because this doesn't make any sense at all. And I I also part of me is like, why is Cincinnati a less of a draw than Kansas City? They both have superstar quarterbacks. They both have Travis Kelce, Jamar Chase. They both have markets that are excited for winners. Kansas City obviously has a bigger market than Cincinnati at this point, but Cincinnati was in the Super Bowl last year and they did pretty well in terms of ratings and everything. I don't know why the NFL would want to rig it, but to have it, it was obvious. It's very obvious that the referees were in favor of one team over the other.
There's the lack of consistency. Like, I get it. Those were penalties, but it happens too often, and everybody's talked about it for years. You could call a holding play. There could be a holding call on every play, every set of downs ever.
Right.
But it's too inconsistent on roughing the passer, holding, like these penalties away from the play that make such a massive difference. Automatic first down.
Yeah. Yeah. And so there was a third and 9, and then they ran a play and they didn't get it. They got sacked. But then the referee said, hey, like, sorry, I meant to blow the whistle, but I forgot to blow the whistle, but I meant to blow the whistle. Like, wait, what? And then they gave him another 3rd and 9 where they stopped them and there was a penalty called. And you're just like, okay, so they just got a free 3rd and 9, made another stop. And the penalty that was called wasn't anywhere close to what a normal penalty is. It was insane. I am also a little upset about it personally because I had a ton of money on that. And it looked like Cincinnati would have won if this lined up in my favor. So I'm a little butthurt about it.
Oh, I get it. It's just too often that games are decided by referees.
It shouldn't ever happen. And let's not even talk about we skipped over this in the first game, but did you see that punt that hit the Skycam cables?
That's the second time this season. Was it this
Second time this season.
Yeah.
We talked about this before.
The other one was kind of an iffy one. Did it hit or did it not hit?
Yeah, but this one clearly hit. and they wouldn't show an angle of it hitting, but wouldn't the sky cam have shaken? Like, couldn't they just have shown the footage of the sky cam and it would have went like that? Like, and if for all the listeners, I'm doing a hand motion of shaking with my hands.
Well, you know as well as I do. You got a little more camera experience than I do. You can put stabilizers and stuff on that it fixes itself, right? Like that it doesn't,
Well,
because
then
it's
you
going to
know,
be running along that
that
track.
the NFL's it's not a track; it's just a bunch of cables.
No,
So
it's cables, but as it's running along that, it's going to have a little bit of shake to the video anyway, which they stabilize and fix, right?
yeah, I mean,
I'm
okay.
They're fixing it in post either
Now
way.
you're defending the NFL. That's what you're doing.
I'm not defending the NFL. I'm defending the camera technology. The camera technology is not going to show that. That's
you're
all.
you're a camera
But
technology guy. You're not
isn't
an
that
NFL
the
guy.
whole thing about the sky cam? That it's behind the play. It'll never be in front to get hit. No,
That's correct. It
isn't that the whole idea?
should always be behind the play so that it doesn't get hit. You're absolutely right.
I don't know.
It's getting sloppy. The
It's all
NFL's
because
getting sloppy. Well, it's also an entertainment business. It is not a sports business, which we know now.
yeah.
Even Pro Football Talk on their Twitter rigged. That's all they had to say.
So you think it's WWF, World Wrestling Federation?
It
It's
is. The
the
NFL, in my
outcome
mind
is
right now,
scripted.
is just World
At the
Wrestling Federation. And so the
beginning
bigger
of
the
the year,
personalities, but you know what that means is that the bigger the personalities, the more they want them at the top. So that bodes well for the Detroit Lions with Dan Campbell as one of their bigger personalities.
the only thing
Would
is
you
like
rather
you
have
think
Dan Campbell or Kirk Cousins as the NFL
I'm
in the Super Bowl? Because I guarantee you that Kirk Cousins is just going to spew a bunch of shit about like religion and like what. And again, everyone's allowed to believe whatever they want to believe. We hope you succeed and we wish you the best in your beliefs or whatever. But we're not trying to suffocate that. But that Dan Campbell's not going to do that. He's going to talk about biting kneecaps and taking you out, which is way more entertaining. That's WWF right there, or WWE.
I'm a WWF. I grew up with WWF. I never
Yeah, I don't
watched
like the
WWE.
WWE.
I never
WWF is the
watched
way to
WWE.
go.
But
I don't
I'm
even.
just
Did you
picturing
even
from what you're
watch?
saying.
Did you watch the WWF when they switched over to WWE? Were you still
No,
watching or no? No,
no.
neither was I. Didn't know for a while. I just noticed that the logo changed, and I was like, "What happened?" And they switched to WWE because I don't know how a organization that big loses out to the Wildlife Fund.
That's better lawyers. I don't know. They
The
had the
World
copyright
Wildlife
first.
Fund has better lawyers than
They had the copyright first. They had a trademark.
that's
I don't know. That's
okay.
it.
Well, sure. Well,
Date
that's it
stamp.
then. That's
Date
it then.
stamp. But anyway, so from what you're saying, you're picturing a meeting at the beginning, the kind of like a script read through
You
for
know
the
what they should have
NFL.
did? You know what they should have did is they should
I'm
have
calling
got
timeout here. You keep interrupting me. I'm calling timeout. So you're picturing this meeting at the beginning where they're doing kind of a script read through in the NFL. All the owners are there, some of the big superstar players, maybe a couple referees, Roger Goodell, whatever. And Jerry Jones always stands up. He's like, isn't it our turn? It's like, shut up, Jerry. Sit down. We're not going to give you the championship. You're never getting the championship. You're never going to get it, okay? That's it. It's going to Mahomes over here. Mahomes, our highest paid guy right now. He's the guy. So Jerry Jones keeps trying to give his guys more money. That's not going to get you the championship. That's what you picture's happening?
That's what you called timeout for?
I called the timeout because you wouldn't let me speak. You wouldn't let me speak. I can see you raising your glass of wine every time I start talking. Take a sip and just jump in with a big interruption.
Yeah. And because what I was going to say is way funnier than what you just talked
Talking
about.
about the World Wildlife Fund.
Yeah. And I think that in my head, all I saw was I took a big sip of wine and I went, it would have been hilarious if the World Wildlife Fund and the WWF figured this out in the ring and the WWF chose their best wrestler to go against whatever animal the WWF decided to put in there. Winner comes out, they get to keep the WWF logo. And then you started talking about what the show's about and like keep it on track.
I just feel that the World Wildlife Foundation is actually against making one of their animals fight somebody in the ring for spectators. I feel like that's the entire sole purpose of their existence is so that doesn't happen.
That is 100%. But what animal do you think they would have chosen?
You go grizzly bear.
I was gonna say grizzly bear.
Yeah,
Easy.
you can
Grizzly
go
bear.
Bengal tiger. You could do a hippo. A hippo. Nobody's beating a hippo. Who's
No
gonna
one's
beat a
beating a
hippo?
hippo. Yeah. But also you could just, it depends on the rules. Like, do you have to pin or do you just have to get them out of the ring? Because it feels
6 ounce
easy to get a
gloves.
hippo out of the ring because you
6 ounce
just.
gloves. What are we doing? Queensberry rules? Is it UFC rules? What kind of rules are we doing here?
Well, the rules make everything. You can just get a hippo to run out of the ring real easy. Whereas the bear is not going to run out. He'll pin you.
Yeah, I don't know. The bear might also just get kind of scared from all the spectators, and
Oh, well, spectators make a huge difference then. Then you definitely want like a tiger.
uh,
Is this a cage match now? Because we have spectators that we don't want to hurt.
no, I think the PETA people would be all over you putting animals in the cages.
I well, oh, now we're bringing PETA into it. Maybe they're the refs.
PETA's gonna get into it. You know they are.
They're going to bring us down for just talking about it.
Yeah.
Okay, back
Anyway,
to back to what we were talking about. Actually, let's not even talk about the NFL right anymore. Let's just know that the Chiefs won. It's Chiefs, Eagles in the Super Bowl, which we will talk about next week on this show. We'll have a special fully dedicated to a show about the WWF versus the WWF. Oh, no, sorry. Full show dedicated to the Super Bowl next week, same time. Now let's talk about some of the things that are happening off the field. Sean Payton is the official coach of the Denver Broncos as of yesterday, today. Don't know, but it happened yesterday. So essentially, they give up a first round pick and a second round pick to the Saints. So they've given up 3 first round picks for Russell Wilson and Sean Payton. Both of them haven't been in. Sean Payton hasn't been to a Super Bowl in 13 seasons. Russell Wilson hasn't been to a Super Bowl in 8. Do you think this is going to work out well?
everything rests on their shoulders. I I don't think it's gonna work out well. I think Sean Payton's a great coach. I don't think Russell Wilson has the the leadership quality right now. I don't think he has the faith of the following in the locker room. Maybe all that can change in the offseason, but I don't see why it would. Maybe another season there, yeah, they could get some things moving together, but they were so far from being good this year.
Yeah.
It's not like they were just, like it wasn't clicking. They're like Detroit a few years ago, where they're a terrible team, and you need a few years to start getting it going.
I don't know why you had to shit on Detroit like that. Out of all things, I don't know why you had to bring Detroit into that situation.
Well, Detroit's good now.
That doesn't make me feel better about the past. Why are you bringing up exes like that
Didn't you once watch them lose 16 games in a row?
in the stadium?
Yeah. Eight
In the
eight in the
stadium.
stadium. 8 in the stadium. 8
stadium.
outside the stadium. Yeah.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah. So I mean, those
Uh,
are just the facts. Like I like them too, but
well, the
they they,
problem
they
the problem
weren't
for
great.
Denver is it is solely on the shoulders of those two people. Now Denver has the offense. They have the Javonte Williams as a running back. They've got 2 really good wide receivers, Jerry Judy and Sutton. They
Who had abysmal seasons this year.
it's because their quarterback is horrible.
So, but they have them next year. What's going to
So
change?
that's what I mean. Is
Sean
what
Payton's going to come up with a good plan. That's the only hope they have.
the only hope that they have is that Sean Payton and Russell Wilson love each other.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the only way you get Russell Wilson to play football now, instead of just try to be some type of celebrity, is that you have to have him like the coach. So I don't know. I don't have any faith in it happening, but who knows?
It just seems like you're mortgaging the future for right now, when I don't think the right now is there.
I agree. Okay, let's talk about the Pro Bowl week coming up, but just so you know, we have merch. We have merch. This episode is technically brought to us by the Ordinary Podcasting Network's merch store. We even have running down the clock merch. So if you want to buy anything Ordinary Podcast, including our merch, just says running down the clock and a bunch of hats and shirts, you can find that and more by visiting ordinarypodcasts.com. That was rough to get through. First time reading that.
That was very rough. We should practice that a little more. Now, what do you think about the Pro Bowl at all? Like it's
I,
one of the silliest things. Just I understand it's an honor to be selected, but people turn it down.
there a lot of people turn it down. There's a whole list of people that have decided not to go. There's people in the game that shouldn't be there.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just looking at a couple of these. Tyler Huntley.
Shouldn't be there.
Now Trevor Lawrence is a replacement. Derek Carr.
Who got benched because he wasn't good enough is in the Pro Bowl as AFC
Yeah.
quarterback.
Now the running backs are good. You got Henry, Jacobs, Nick Chubb.
Yep, those are solid picks.
Your fullback, there's not a lot of fullbacks to pick from.
No, each team
Not
has
very
one.
familiar with Patrick Ricard, but I'm going to give it to him just because I can't name that many fullbacks. Your wide receivers are pretty obvious. All
Hill,
of them are solid.
Diggs, Adams, Chase, all yep,
Yeah.
bang on.
Yeah.
Tight
Travis
ends,
Kelsey, Mark
Mark
Andrews,
Andrews.
Dawson
Yep,
Knox. Sure. Knox's replacement. Who's he replacement for?
he's replacing Kelsey because Super Bowl
Kelsey,
players won't
Super
play.
Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then offensive tackles, defensive tackles, blah blah blah, centers, all that stuff. Um, it's basically you only care about the offensive players, right? Like as
Yeah.
names.
But even in the game, like defensive players can't be themselves.
No, you can't knock guys out. But it's like I think it's a flag football game now. The most important, the most interesting thing about it is the competitions that are happening like the Saturday or the Sunday. And we'll get into those in a second. Let's just go through some of the NFC guys. Jalen Hurts won't be playing because he's going to the Super Bowl. But come on, like, are you excited about these names? Are you excited about Geno Smith, Kirk Cousins, and Jared Goff? Like, as quarterbacks of the NFC, like, isn't there more interesting guys out there?
Not really. In the NFC didn't really have the best players. Like teams were making it with terrible records.
Sure, but wouldn't you rather see like Aaron Rodgers over Kirk Cousins?
Yeah. He just I think I get it though. You give it to a guy with 13 wins over the guy who had a losing season.
But the guy with 13 wins was doing everything to make them lose.
I know and I get it. But he's still statistically, he's got stats.
But shouldn't it be the most exciting guys, the most ones you're excited to see? I don't know. The QBs in the Pro Bowl selection are the ones that are this don't sit right. Like the running backs, it seems like they're on par again with Barkley, Pollard. He won't be playing. Sanders won't be playing. Miles Sanders won't be playing because he's in the Super Bowl. So Christian McCaffrey's in there. Saquon Barkley is in there twice on the list I'm looking at, which is crazy. Dalvin Cook is in there. So they hit them. They hit the right names with that. Kyle Juszczyk, fullback,
Well,
yes.
back up for a sec. The Christian McCaffrey one was Miles Sanders that much better than McCaffrey?
No, McCaffrey's way better than Miles Sanders.
Yeah, because he's his replacement.
Yeah, I know. I don't. This is why the Pro Bowl doesn't make any sense.
No, I don't always get it. It seems like there's a lot of random guys that always make the Pro Bowl that I wouldn't have gotten, but
Yeah, the wide receivers are right though. Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown's going to Super Bowl, so he's replaced with Amon-Ra St. Brown. CeeDee Lamb's going, and Scary Terry McLaurin. Tight ends George Kittle, TJ Hawkinson, all makes sense, and then all the defensive and offensive line players. Now, this is the cool thing about the Pro Bowl. I don't care about the 11-on-11 or the 7-on-7 flag football match. It doesn't. Do you care about that? I don't care about that.
no, I'm not gonna watch a flag football match.
No. But so here's some of the cool events they have. The first event, I believe, is dodgeball. So it's the AFC offense versus the AFC defense.
That sounds amazing.
And then the winner of that moves on to play the winner of the NFC offense versus the NFC defense. That sounds fun.
That's great. How many
Now,
guys? How many on the court at a time? Do we know?
I think
It's
all
everywhere.
players start on.
Perfect.
So it must be the size of like the length or width of a field.
Right.
There's
It's
a
not
lot.
like a 5-on-5.
No, from what I read, I believe it's all players, which makes it super cool. But that's chaos. I think there's a bunch of events. Each event there's like 3 points or something like that. So the next event is called the lightning round. 16 players will be selected to compete from each conference in a 3-part elimination challenge. Now, at the end of the third part, it's just going to leave one player left from each conference. The first event is called Splash Catch. So basically, everyone pairs up and they throw a water balloon
Sounds like
back
a
and forth.
carnival ride.
It does,
Carnival game.
100%. They each throw a water balloon back and forth, and if you successfully, and then you have to keep moving further and further back every time you throw it. So
This
you
is the egg
survive.
toss. This is
Yeah,
the egg
exactly.
toss.
You
Yeah.
survive to the next round as long as your balloon doesn't blow up.
Now,
The
back on today's theme. Which team is getting the ultra double thick rubber balloon and which team is getting the super thin, water balloon that just explodes on impact, right?
After the splash catch round, the second event is called high stakes. And I guess whoever's left in the competition has to catch punts from a jugs machine. If you don't know what a jugs machine is, it's two spinning trolleys that throw a ball up way high in the air. So I'm not sure if you have to catch like 7 at a time or like without dropping the ball, which we've seen done earlier this year, or it's just whatever team can catch the most or whatever player catches the most continues. It might be whatever player catches the most continues because the third event is one-on-one called Thrill of the Spill. So I guess there's the NFC player is throwing at targets that are above the opposite team's coach, which is Peyton and Eli Manning. And the first one to hit the target and pour water over the coach wins the game. So just an added fun, I guess, by having the coaches sit underneath it.
Can I already predict it's going to be Peyton that gets wet?
Why?
Just because I feel like between those two, little brother somehow always like gets that little victory, not by his own ability, just like it just works out for little brother that like Peyton pays the price, right? I'm sure Peyton was always holding the flashlight, helping dad, and Eli got to sit on the couch and eat chips, and you know.
So, okay, wait. If we had to predict, you still have the rosters in front of you, the AFC,
Yeah.
NFC rosters. Okay, if we had to predict based on the throwing the water balloon, catching from the jugs machine, and then throwing at the targets, who do you think the player to
So
win is?
which players are doing the egg toss with the water
So
balloon?
it's everyone, each side is going to start 16 players. They haven't chosen yet, but all players compete in the first event, and then the eliminated ones won't compete, and so far and so forth. So
I
if you just
think
had to
it's
randomly choose one,
so I think the guys that are going to be the best of that maybe like Devontae or Jamar Chase, Jefferson.
so Devonte
Just
Adams
the
or Jamar Chase,
sweetest hands.
okay.
Maybe Diggs. I think one of those like
So
top tier
wide,
wide
so you're
receivers.
thinking wide receivers.
I think they just got the softer hands of just being able to follow that thing and just cradle it as it goes by, and just grab all its inertia and transfer it back the other way. Because you want it to explode. You're on your team or you're against your team. Like you want it to explode on the
No,
other
you
guy,
don't.
but you want to go the distance.
You don't want like in the first part, the splash event. You don't want the balloon to pop at all.
Yeah. So I think if you could put like two of your top wide receivers together, they just got
Well,
softer hands.
sure. So I would think the outlier in this, and this is the player I'm choosing specifically because you need that all around guy, that X factor. This
McCaffrey
might actually be the reason why Tyler Huntley is in the Pro Bowl.
for an
He's
egg.
gonna throw it. Yeah, he's probably gonna have the best hand or best hand to throw the ball. He's gonna be the softest throw, and he probably catch Jugs machine. I don't know what the game is, but then he's gonna have the best aim at the targets above the opposite coaches.
I don't know. I feel like the quarterback's not going to be good at this because this is like
Well,
a
he's
soft.
not a quarterback. He's not really a quarterback. He shouldn't be here.
Yeah, but I feel like he's just going to, like shovel pass it into the guy's chest, pops, first fucking go.
Just turn around like I don't know what was the play. I don't know what the play was. What was the play?
Yeah.
Okay, so the second event, or the third event, sorry, longest drive. This is a golf event. 4 players from each conference will be selected. 3 swings, furthest ball within boundaries, left or right, wins. If you had to choose anybody based on zero knowledge,
Some sort of defensive tackle is winning that one. Guy who's just, all back and arms. Who do we got here? Yeah, that could be like Miles Garrett. I feel like he could just crush it. Khalil
but
Mack.
they gotta have a
No, he's
swing though.
injured.
You
Sorry?
got to have some type of swing. You can't just go in there and you got to hit the ball like perfectly in the middle of the driver to get it go far.
Not necessarily. You can shank it 400 yards.
That's true.
Yeah.
Not true though.
It's not straight. This is not the
It's
straightest
got
drive
no, but it
competition.
has to stay within. It has to stay within a certain
Oh.
distance left and right.
Ew.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give this one to.
Tyler
I think.
Huntley. Tyler Huntley.
I hope he wins all of these. That would be amazing. Um, I'm gonna give this one to. It won't be a running back. Derek Carr takes this one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm being very favorable with the QBs in this. Okay, so the next one's presented by Madden Sports. Not our merch store, but Madden Sports. Um, each QB will battle it out in accuracy. So every QB from the team will battle it out in that an accuracy competition. 1 minute, as many targets as possible. 10 targets. Some are moving. There's a long toss bucket that's 60 yards away. Who do you think the favorite in this would be? I know for a fact it is not Tyler Huntley.
So explain this one again. What's happening?
So basically, there's targets that are going to be moving around the field, and you have
Oh,
one
the
each.
classic. This is the classic one.
The classic one, the one that,
Yeah.
like, yeah, the one that
Oh,
everybody knows, the one that's the reason you watch. Like,
yeah.
yeah, you
Um,
got.
this could be actually a Trevor Lawrence or who's on the NFC side.
I
I
know
like
who I
Trevor
got.
Lawrence for this one.
I got Jared Goff, my
Yeah,
guy. I got Jared Goff winning this one. Accuracy, Jared Goff, hand in hand, easy.
sure.
Okay,
Goff
so
or
then,
Lawrence. Yeah, I can see
then
either one. Now I'm going back on my longest drive one.
oh
I'm
yeah, you
taking
see a
my
name out
wild
there.
card, Derwin James. I feel
Why?
like he's got strength and athleticism. I feel like that guy can hit a good golf ball.
All right.
Yeah.
The only reason I chose Derek Carr is because he plays in Vegas, where I know there's a lot of golf courses, and probably likes golf.
Yeah.
That's all I
Well,
got.
you're just going for brute force, just no accuracy.
I
Like
think the best. I think they're going to choose the best golfers. I don't think they're going to choose the biggest, strongest guy. Or
not
maybe they
yeah,
choose
but
two
the biggest,
golfers.
strongest guy that can hit a golf ball.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. But you never know. Like
But haven't you ever seen those like
Quinn
super?
Williams might just be like a top tier golfer. We don't know.
That's what it means. We don't know. But you ever seen those super built guys that are at the gym all the time, and then they go to the beach and try to throw a football and they look like idiots? You ever
Because
see
they
those
don't know
guys?
technique. Yeah.
That's what I mean. Technique is everything.
Technique's everything. But I mean, if they
Technique's
have
the name
the
of the game.
technique, if they have the technique, one of these just guys who are, they weigh 300 pounds and 200 of those pounds are muscle are gonna outdrive the guy who's 200 pounds.
I agree.
Period. Yeah,
I
and
agree.
I'm sure there's one of these offensive linemen, defensive linemen, or like strong safety like Derwin James that knows how to golf.
Yeah.
One of them does.
I mean, this guy. I feel like half these guys should know how to golf.
Yeah,
But what do I
people
know?
like golf. Athletes like golf.
Yeah, it's that's a nice way to get away from being an athlete. Okay. The next one is best catch. This one's a little weird to me. Two players from each conference. So
What's the
not
best?
all wide receivers, just two players from each conference. Now, the first round is Thursday night, so the night that this airs. They're going to showcase their best receptions in highlight reels around Vegas. So I guess they go out and make catches within Vegas, and then fans vote Friday, Saturday about who they think should move forward. I know,
This just
weird and
sounds.
dumb. It's just edited. You can do whatever you
No,
want.
it sounds like you're just hoping a guy gets injured trying to backflip catch over a moving car. So
That's
what's
that's exactly what's going to happen. Is weird stunts like that where it's more visually pleasing than it is actually catch difficulty. Um. Anyway, so the fans will vote. Top vote getters move to Sunday, which is a head-to-head, kind of like a dunk contest style. They'll bring in some celebrity judges, and then they'll do like catches on the field that they think is highlight reel worthy. Those will be more interesting than I think the actual highlight reels around Vegas will be because they're actually catches on a football field that you can make.
I think I got to say this about this whole thing. They peaked at dodgeball and they've lost me since. Like dodgeball sounded great. Just have a big dodgeball tournament.
I actually think that the throwing competition is the most traditional, therefore the most exciting.
It is, but I mean, I've seen it done. Like it's never.
Sure,
It's fun.
but
It can be cool, but I don't care
yeah.
that much.
Do you care
I've
about any of
never
this
gone
stuff?
out. I've never gone out of my way to watch. If I'm flipping through the channels randomly, and I don't really flip through channels anymore in today's on video on demand society, I might have stopped and watched it, but I never went out of my way to watch the throwing competition or the skills comp. I like the race; they had the fastest guys.
Yeah, they should do that. They should go back to that. Just running the race. See who the
I think
fastest guy in the 40 is.
Tyreek Hill. My money's on Hill.
He lost to whoever it was last year. Mike
That's wrong. Didn't he
Parsons.
get fifth? Didn't he get fifth place?
Didn't try. That was his chance. Anyways, next next event, Gridiron Gauntlet. 6 players each conference compete in a relay race. 4-part gauntlet, 40 yards each part. Includes a series of breakaway walls, climbing over walls, under tables, a tile run. I don't know what that is, and a block sled carrying a legend. So I think that this actually bodes well for running backs, like guys like Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry, and tight ends, like your Mark Andrews type. Because it's you have to have physical and you have to be physically demanding and speed. I think there's a running back tight end.
Yeah, a cornerback might be able to. There's a
Nah,
lot of agility. Those guys have got a lot of agility.
they do have a lot of agility, but you have to carry a guy into the end zone or something like that.
Yeah, I think Derwin James will be the only one carrying a guy, but
You love Derwin James. You love him.
no, I think he's the strongest guy out there. Remember when he tackled Kelsey this year?
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
actually. That was a great hit.
So that's what I mean. He showed
He's
he
the
can carry a
only
guy.
one to do it. Yeah,
He can
only one to do
carry a
it.
guy.
All right, sold me. You sold me.
And more. This is just sounding like remember when you were in elementary school and you had sports day? You had the potato sack race and like you
Yeah.
got the little ice cream tub lids and you got Derrick Henry putting the lids in front of Nick Chubb or something so he can step in front of them and keep going.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what it sounded like. It just sounded like an NFL sports day. They're gonna get a fudgesicle and a hot dog at the end of this.
They gotta guess how many chocolates are in the jar.
Exactly.
There's 2 events left. This next one I actually think is the only one that, besides the accuracy quarterback one, is the one that's most related to football and could actually be the most interesting one. And it's called kick tack toe. So essentially, the kickers are playing tic tac toe within the uprights. That actually has a lot of skill involved with it.
I want to see a non-kicker compete with the kickers on these. I feel like they will do just as well, if not better.
No, they won't. There's a reason that there's NFL kickers out there and not NFL kickers. The only person I've known like watching football is the guy from the Chiefs this year that was able to do it a couple times, and Chad Ochocinco, who was a great kicker as a wide receiver. And then the last event
He
is
was a
called
soccer player, that's why.
100%. Yeah, he was. The last event is called Move the Chains. Oh boy, this one's
The
dumb.
refs are winning that one.
Yeah. The refs are winning the Super Bowl. They're not winning the Pro Bowl. Move the Chains, 4 teams, 2 from each conference will
Is it tug of war?
they're pulling a weighted wall. So each team has 5 players. Each of the 2 teams on each conference have 5 players. They have to move a wall 10 yards the fastest.
Wow, this has got to be an offensive line.
All offensive, defensive line players, 100%. Yeah. So your Myles Garrett's, your Max Crosby's.
What about your big boys, your offensive linemen?
Yeah, I'm looking for names. So like Trent Williams,
I don't know any of them.
Tristan Wirfs, Penei Sewell from the Lions. It'll be those guys for sure.
Yeah.
It'll be those guys for sure. But as far as the game, the 11-11 or the 7-on-7 game, I don't care about that. I don't know if I'll be watching any of this.
Skills comp on Saturday, the game on Sunday? Is that what they're doing?
Think so. I don't know for sure, but because I don't care that much about the skills competition. It's like it'll be cool to see who won, but I don't know. I'll tune in if I'm not doing anything and I remember it's on, but I can't see myself getting excited about this. All-star games don't really mean anything.
No, they mean nothing. And that's the problem. Baseball has it figured out at least with one little meaning to their all-star game.
Yeah.
At least it counts for something, even if no player in the All-Star game goes to the World Series.
Yeah.
But
And the NHL kind of has they're going towards the right play where it's 3-on-3, which is very exciting hockey. But I don't know. NFL just stop it or do something else. I don't know. They're
yeah,
trying.
they're trying. I'll give them that. They're trying. Same with the NBA. They're trying. Like the NBA one just got ridiculous where there was nothing on defense. It was just, lobs going back and forth both ways and just turning into just nothing, right? Like nothing entertaining, no effort. But
okay. I think that's the show this week.
yeah, I guess so.
I don't know what else to say.
That's all we got.
And try this again. I can say this episode of Running Down the Clock is presented by the Ordinary Podcast Network's merch store. Hey, Puya, did you know that not only does the network have a merch store on their website, but they also have a Running Down the Clock merch?
No way.
Yeah, just go on over to ordinarypodcast.com and buy yourself a Running Down the Clock hat or t-shirt and support us.
Now, if I'm under 18, do I have to ask my parents for permission?
No, use their credit card, take it out of their purse or wallet, and just ring it on up. Buy as many hats and shirts as you can for you and your friends.
I think we just got canceled.
Yeah. All right, everybody. We will be back for a Super Bowl special next week. If you could put up with us this week, thank you for listening. Running Down the Clock is brought to you by the Ordinary Podcast Network and is every Thursday running until the week after the Super Bowl. We hope you enjoyed enough to subscribe and tune in again next week.